Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new week of reviews. This week's reviews are called Arrow Video VHS Rental Week. So what this pretty much is, I'm going to review throughout the week 3 films from the Arrow Video box set, the Enter the Video Store box set, which is a collection of films made by Empire Movies that were prolific in the VHS rental market back in the day, in the sort of 80s and 90s. So these are all films that were turned into sort of cult classics because due to the rental market back in the day, because not everybody could afford the cinema or could go out to the cinema. It was the golden age of the VHS video, when video was absolutely thriving and people started to buy them in their houses, and they were expensive to buy a lot of the time, so the rental option was always the best way. Myself, I didn't rent very many. I used to buy ex-rental films because they used to be a lot cheaper than the sell-through films, but still, and sometimes a lot more up to date than the sell-through films. But anyway, let's crack on. The first film we're looking at this week is Dolls, which is a horror film in the box set. My little Sullivan's here. He wants to come and say hello. Here he comes. Come on in, mister. Here he is. Here's the baby. Oh, there he is. Hello, everybody. So we're going to be looking at some of the films that are in the box set. This one is Dolls, like I said. So, and this one is I believe it's an 80s film. It's a very sort of similar film to other sort of toy films like Puppet Master and films like that. But let's have a little look at this one. This one starts off with like there's a car trip of a young girl, a father and a stepmother are making a trip for a holiday in the car, and they sort of hit a bad weather, and the car seems to get sort of stuck in the mud, if you like, and they kind of like in the middle of nowhere, sort of marooned, and they can't get anywhere, and the stepmother and the father are arguing, and the young girl's in the back of the car with her teddy bear. The dad gets out the car and tries to push it to get it moving out the mud, but he can't. The young girl and the stepmom do not get on at all. She despises the young girl, I think. I think she's probably jealous of the young girl because it's not hers. But she's quite cruel and rude to the girl. Anyway, the father sees a house in the distance and says, well, let's make our way over to that house before the rain starts again. So they start trekking their way over towards this house, and then we get the sort of like the thunderstorm, and the girl's sort of like lingering behind, and the stepmother goes up to her and takes her teddy bear off her and throws it into the woods, which is a really cool thing to do because she absolutely adores this teddy bear. And then it sort of cuts to like a daydream sort of sequence where the young girl dreams that the bear is now a giant bear and comes back out of the bushes, and the bear goes over to attack the stepmother and the father, and it also sort of comes out of its teddy bear skin as like a real evil looking bear, and we see it sort of biting down onto the stepmother and sort of like killing them. But then we sort of like flash back to like reality, and we could just see it was just the young girl just dreaming this. She's not a very nice woman, this woman. She because when they were making their way on the journey, there was a couple of sort of like goth punk girls by the side of the road trying to hitchhike, and she just almost run them over. She's not a very nice person. So they make their way to the house and they knock on the door, but there's no reply. And then the storm starts coming down and they find that there's an open sort of cellar door. So they all go in there to sort of like hide in there to keep out of the weather. And whilst they're in the cellar, the girl sort of witnesses something in the dark, which sort of spooks her out, and they make a noise. And then we're joined by an old man and an old woman who come to the cellar because they've heard the noise, the commotion, and it's the owners of the house. Now, the woman I recognise, I'm sure she's the same woman from Don't Look Now, the 1970s English-British horror film. I'm sure she was in that. She played the blind woman in it, I'm sure. And the old boy, I first of all thought, is he the same guy from Puppet Master? But looking at him, I don't think he is. But they come down and just to see these people there. But they're very warm and homely, and they let them into the house. So they invite them up into the house to warm up and have some hot soup and things to warm up. So they're very, very grateful, and they go up and join them. And the old man starts talking to the young girl about toys and dolls, because there's loads of them all around the house. And while they're having something to eat, he explains to them that he's a doll maker. And he makes all these dolls, sort of like one-off kind of dolls, where they're not sort of like the mass-produced ones. And so they start talking to the young girl, and there's a sort of bond between the young girl and the old boy, which is quite sweet. And they're all having dinner, and then the door flings open, and a man comes in with the two goth girls that the other woman nearly knocked down earlier on. This man's picked them up, and they are also lost, and also sort of having problems with the car. And so they are also welcomed into the house to have something to eat. And the man that's with them, he's very young at heart. He still has a love for toys and dolls, and he appreciates the dolls along with the girl. And so the old man, the doll maker, seems to get on well with him as well. But all of the others are quite ridiculed. The two goth punk girls are there to rob the place. Their plans were to rob the guy that picked them up, but now they turn their plans to bigger plans because they see all these sort of dolls around the house, and they're trying to find out. And they speak to the old woman, saying to her, "Are these valuable? Are they worth a lot of money?" They say, "Well, some are, you know, sort of thing." So now their plan is to sort of rob the house of the dolls. Anyway, the old couple let all these people stay at the house for the night while the weather's bad, and it kind of turns into like one of those classic sort of horrors, you know, like Haunted Honeymoon, that sort of thing, where all these sort of guests are in the house, and it's like, you know, or like a sort of Cluedo sort of thing, where you got all these sort of guests in the house, and you wonder who's going to go first. So they all get shown to their rooms, and it's a really old house, really nice house, and they all get shown to their rooms. There's the stepmother and the father get their own, the daughter gets her own room, the bloke gets his own room, and the two punk girls share a room. So they all get to their sort of like rooms, and the young girl hears sort of noises coming out of another room, like little giggling noises, which is quite spooky. And sort of like then we cut to the goth girls, and one of them's walking about the house at night trying to look for valuables and sort of stuff to rob. And she goes into one room, and it's like a little music box keeps getting set off. She closes it and goes away and comes, and it's set off again. And she keeps doing this. And we know now that these dolls have got some supernatural kind of power because they're sort of moving and are alive. Anyway, they sort of like start attacking this young punk girl who's trying to rob the house, and they're ramming her head into the sideboard and stuff like that. And it's quite gory and bloody. This is quite a gory film. There is quite a bit of blood and gore in the film. And she ends up disappearing, getting killed. So she's gone. And then the sort of film progresses, and the dolls start picking them all off one by one, especially if they're mean and they're horrible to like the young girl or to the other dolls. Like the punk girl just shoved all those dolls off on the side and put a stereo on there to play her music. And I think that's what's made these dolls rebel and kill her. And then they start going after like the stepmother, all the sort of horrible the horrible ones, and it turns into a really eerie, spooky movie, and it is really, really quite atmospheric. It's really, really cool. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it. If you want to find out what happens to all the people in the house, do they all succumb to these dolls, or do the young girl and her father get away, or whatever it is, you need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Dolls? It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I was very two minds, because after I watched the first movie in that box set, The Dungeon Master, which I said was good, I was quite apprehensive, because although I said that was good, it's an awful film. But I like awful films. But this one isn't an awful film. It's an excellent film. It was really, really cool. And it was really gory. And it was really spooky and very eerie. And it had so much atmosphere in it. And it is way, way, way better than Puppet Master, in my opinion. Because it's like the characters are more likable. And it's more kind of like, the story is not say it is a lot easier to follow than Puppet Master. Puppet Master is a bit everywhere, but this one is straightforward to follow, and it's absolutely excellent. The pluses of this, the transfer is amazing, really, really cool. The cast are tremendous, really good, and there's some amazing effects in the whole film. And the dolls are so creepy and so awesome, because they're so creepy, and the way they move is so creepy. Whoever's done the effects on this film, I applaud you. It's fantastic. And there's like some amazing scenes, and there's some great deaths in this film. One of the characters get killed by a firing squad of toy soldiers, and that is really quite gory too. And it's really, really cool. So well done, amazing. Negatives of the film: it ended. I didn't want it to end. I absolutely loved the film from start to finish, and unfortunately it only runs for about sort of 75 minutes, so it's like an hour and 15. I think it could have been made a bit longer, to be honest. It was absolutely amazing, really cool. So I'm going to score the film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. And you're thinking, wow, a toy horror film, 9 out of 10. Yes, it is that good. Now, I don't know if Arrow have got any plans to release these films individually after the limited edition box sets sell out. I don't know. Knowing Arrow, they probably will later down the line. But it's worth a pickup, guys. This film is worth a pickup. It's such a good film. Really, really loved it. Dolls, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's such a good film, and what an amazing turnaround in the box set. Like I say, I watched Dungeon Master, and I was so disappointed with that, because I just thought, no, it just needed to be a bit more. I don't know, it was just daft, and it was lame, and this isn't. This is the complete opposite. This is a really cool horror movie, and I love the original artwork. I'm just opening the poster up again. That is so cool, right? That is really cool. Really, really good. And there's your commissioned artwork. And that punch that she's got there, the old boy sort of gives her that punch to become friends, because the mother's thrown the teddy into the woods, like I said. So he gives her that to mind and sort of like become her friend, and it does. And so really, really cool film. Excellent. And that's my first review in Arrow Video VHS Rental Week. The next one we're going to be looking at is another horror film from that box set called Cellar Dweller. That's what we're going to look at next. Until then, check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, The Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzleworld, I Am the Ice Lord, Sarah of Horror, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, and a massive shout out to my lad Lemon Lord, which I will probably make him watch this when he next comes up, because I know he will enjoy it. Until then, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.